You have met someone like this before. While everyone else is scrambling, talking fast, refreshing the page, sending messages, they sit there almost too calm. In a meeting, while coworkers argue over details, that person stays quiet, watching. Then in a few words, they cut through the confusion and say exactly what will happen if the group keeps going in that direction. People act like it is intuition or luck. It is not. It is a different way their brain is running under the surface. You feel it in arguments too. You are explaining yourself, defending, reacting to every sentence. They are not. They are tracking where the conflict is going, not just what is happening right now. While you are busy answering what they just said, they are already 3 moves ahead, adjusting their behavior based on the outcome they expect. By the time you feel the anger rise, they have already placed you where they want you. Defensive, emotional, predictable. People who secretly outrun your mind aren't better than you. Most people are trained to believe this is about raw IQ, as if some people just got a better brain and everyone else has to live with what they were born with. That story is convenient. It lets people give up early and call it fate. The truth is much colder. Many of these quiet, fast minds are not gifted in some magical way. They are simply running a different mental operating mode. Their brain is not busy doing what yours is doing. It is not drowning in noise, words, and random input. It is running predictions. Psychologists like Daniel Kahneman talk about 2 types of thinking: fast, automatic reactions, and slow, deliberate reasoning. The usual story is that people are stuck in fast mode and need to slow down and think more. But the elite minds you envy do something else. They bend both modes into a different pattern. They use fast systems to scan and predict, and they use slow systems only when it actually improves accuracy. They are not obeying the textbook rules. They are using them. Here is what that means for you. Every day that your brain runs in noisy civilian mode, you are training it to stay slow in the moments that matter. You scroll with half attention, talk to fill silence, keep music or shows always on in the background, jump between tasks like a trained lab rat hearing the bell. You call it being busy, staying informed, being connected. What you are actually doing is burning the limited fuel your brain has on nonsense. So when a real decision appears, you are tired before you start. Time is not neutral here. The longer you live in that scattered state, the more your brain wires it in as normal. The more you explain your thoughts out loud or in your head instead of letting them compress, the more your mind learns to stay slow and word-heavy. You feel like you are thinking hard because it feels effortful. But effort and intelligence are not the same. You can run harder on broken software and still lose to someone who barely looks like they are trying because their mental code is clean. There is a quiet internal switch that these fast minds use. Most of them could not even describe it, but they use it. In a negotiation, while you are watching the other person's face and thinking about what to say next, they are watching the pattern of the entire interaction. When you raise your voice, they do not get pulled. When they pause, it is not random. They are running a silent simulation of how you will react to different moves. You are busy feeling. They are busy predicting. Someone is already using this against you. The salesperson who guides you to an answer you think you chose. The friend who always gets you to forgive them even when you swear you are done. The coworker who always seems to land in the safest position when a project fails. They are not always smarter in school terms. They have simply stopped playing on the surface. While you drown in the words and emotions of the situation, they sit underneath, reading the structure. No one told you that your mental limits were not fixed. They were installed. From school that rewards fast talking and memorizing, to media that never lets your attention rest, you were trained to confuse activity with intelligence. You were never taught how to switch into a mode where the brain stops narrating and starts simulating, where it stops reacting and starts predicting. You were told to work harder, learn more, grind longer, but you were never told to change how your brain actually thinks. This script is going to do something that most coaches, therapists, and performance experts will not do. It will show you the internal kill switch directly, not dressed up as vague words like focus or mindset or flow, but as a brutal difference in how your brain uses attention and prediction. You will see how your current lifestyle keeps your mind loud, scattered, and slow. You will see how a small class of people have already stepped out of that and are silently outrunning everyone else. By the end, you will know exactly when your brain is in noisy civilian mode and when it has shifted into silent predictive mode. And once you feel that difference, pretending you are just naturally limited will no longer feel honest. You will know that every time you slip back into chaos and distraction, you are not just wasting time. You are training your brain to lose to someone who has already made the shift you were never taught to even look for. The hidden system. Your brain is not built for thinking the way you think. You have been told that being smart means reading a lot, remembering details, talking clearly, and having strong opinions. That is the school version of intelligence. Answer fast, recall facts, show what you know. The problem is that your brain did not evolve for that. It did not evolve to be a storage unit. It evolved to be a prediction machine. Neuroscientists like Carl Friston and Andy Clark describe the brain as something that constantly tries to guess what will happen next, then adjusts when it is wrong. Every sense, every thought, every habit is part of a loop. Predict, compare, correct. The goal is to reduce surprise, to keep the world easy to handle. Intelligence, in that frame, is not how much you know, but how quickly and accurately you update your predictions when reality shows you were wrong. Think about that as internal pattern speed. How fast can your mind strip away what does not matter? Notice the regularities and adjust its expectations. When someone speaks, can you feel where they are going? Or do you only react to each sentence as if it exists alone? When a market shifts, do you see the structure behind the change? Or do you just collect headlines? When something breaks in your life, do you spot the pattern that led there? Or do you only feel the shock? Your brain has a limit on how much it can attend to at once. Research by Nili Lavi on perceptual load shows that when your environment is full of extra noise, your attention gets pulled in all directions. You cannot fully ignore irrelevant input. If your screen is crowded, your phone is buzzing, people are talking, and your mind is spinning with half-finished thoughts, your limited capacity is already spent before deep thinking even starts. You are trying to run advanced prediction on a battery that is already almost empty. This is not an accident. Modern life is perfectly designed to max out your attentional load. Constant notifications, feeds that never end, sounds everywhere, open tabs, and a culture that rewards fast responses over considered ones, all push your brain into survival mode. It starts slicing the world into simple reactions, like dislike, agree, disagree, reply, ignore. There is no space for your prediction machinery to work calmly, so you stay on the surface and call that staying engaged. Then there is the operating system you were trained in. Linear, word-heavy, multitask thinking. School told you to think in sentences, write essays, show the steps, explain everything out loud. Social media then took that and turned it into an endless internal monologue where you narrate your life, judge yourself constantly, and jump between topics faster than your brain can properly process. You were rewarded for speed and volume, not for accuracy and compression. Clifford Nass at Stanford studied heavy multitaskers and found a cruel twist. People who constantly juggle tasks feel like they are good at it. They believe they switch faster, handle more, and get more done. The data showed the opposite. Chronic multitaskers were worse at ignoring distractions, worse at switching, and worse at holding information in working memory. Their mental software felt powerful while performing badly. That is the trap you may already be living in. So here you are, with a brain that evolved to compress patterns and run predictions, trapped in a world that trains you to hoard information, juggle noise, and narrate constantly. You work hard inside a broken system and judge yourself when you feel slow or stupid. You grind away, not realizing that you are forcing great hardware to run bloated, inefficient code. Meanwhile, a minority of people run lean. They do not engage with every stimulus. They do not narrate every thought. They let their prediction machinery do its real job. This should make you uncomfortable. It means that your late nights, your long hours, and your mental exhaustion might not be signs of deep intelligence. They might be signs that you are fighting with the way your brain actually functions. You are pushing it to store what it should be compressing. You are asking it to react to input it should be ignoring. You feel proud of being busy while your internal pattern speed stays slow. There is nothing wrong with your hardware. Your brain is not weak. It is misused. The problem is the operating system, the habits, environments, and expectations you run every day. As long as you keep judging intelligence by how much input you can handle and how much you can say, you will miss what truly makes a mind dangerous. Quiet, fast, accurate prediction. The people who outthink you are not always working harder. They are simply not wasting attention on noise. Once you accept that, something harsh becomes clear. Staying as you are is a choice. No one is going to knock on your door and pull you out of this scattered mode. The world has no incentive to slow down for you and let your brain shift into what it was built to do. If you want that, you will have to change how you treat information, how you use language, and how you guard your attention. Otherwise, your mind will spend its life running a system it was never designed for, and you will call that your limit. If you are getting what I am saying, then you are ready for this psychological upgrade. I can challenge you that you don't subscribe to brain shade right now. Someone else from your friend group will soon outsmart you. The internal problem. Gifted people never faced. Look back at how you were trained. As a child, you were rewarded for sitting still, repeating answers, and remembering what the teacher said long enough to pass a test. You were graded on how much you could keep in your head and write down under pressure, not on how deeply you could see the logic behind it. If you asked why too much, you were told to move on. If you finished early and went quiet, you were often told you were not engaging. The system did not care about prediction. It cared about obedience, recall, and speed. Outside school, something worse began. Your phone became a device that delivers random rewards, sometimes a message that matters, sometimes just empty content. You do not know which is which when you hear the alert, so your brain treats every notification like it might be important. That is how addiction is built. Variable rewards, random wins. Your attention is pulled again and again, not because you are weak, but because the system is designed to override your control. Torkel Klingberg's work on working memory and attention shows that chronic overload does not just feel bad, it shapes the brain itself. The more your day is filled with interruptions and task switching, the more your capacity for deep, focused processing degrades. The exact mental systems you need for strong prediction are the systems that get weakened by endless shallow stimulation. You are not failing to focus because you are lazy. You are tired because your attention has been used and sold since you woke up. Then there is the constant language. You are pushed to always speak, post, comment, share, explain yourself. Even inside your own head, the voice never shuts up. You replay conversations, imagine arguments, judge your own actions and words. There is a difference between thinking and narrating. Most people do not notice it. Their entire mental life is just sentences about themselves and others. That non-stop internal talk fills the mental space where quiet pattern recognition should run. Research on the brain's default mode network links this restless internal chatter with anxiety and worse task performance. When you are not doing anything, your mind naturally drifts. In a healthy state, that can support reflection and planning. In the state most people live in, it turns into rumination and self-attack. You do not notice the cost. You just feel tired and call it normal. But all that mental noise competes directly with your ability to hold clean models of reality and working memory. Think of the alternate timeline. If your attention had not been chopped up by school bells, homework, ads, feeds, and pings, your brain would have had long stretches to sit with problems and compress them. You would have gotten used to being alone with your thoughts without reaching for distraction. You would have built a mind that tolerates silence and uses it to increase pattern speed. That timeline still exists in people who never had their attention completely colonized. They are not always smarter. They are less damaged. Instead, brilliance in you was outcompeted by noise. Whenever a skill or topic started to feel deep, you checked out mentally or were pulled away by something designed to be easier. Whenever confusion could have led you to sharpen your model, you switched to entertainment. Whenever silence could have forced you to confront weak thinking, you drowned it in sound. None of this happened by chance. There is too much profit in keeping you distracted for it to be accidental. To reclaim what was taken, You cannot just promise to work harder or be more productive. You have to face the internal habits that now feel like personality. Constant scrolling when nothing urgent is happening. The reflex to check your phone when conversation slows. The urge to respond to every message immediately. The need to over-explain yourself in every situation. The way you talk instead of think, react instead of simulate, and complain instead of update your model. These are not small quirks. They are the software running your life. That software was installed by repetition, reward, and cultural pressure. To access your real pattern speed, you will have to remove parts of it. That will feel like losing a part of yourself, because for years you believed those reactions were you. They are not. They are learned responses. The system wants you to treat them as fixed so you never question them. The kill switch you are looking for is not about adding more. It is not about more techniques, more information, more apps. It is about subtracting the noise that keeps your natural prediction machinery buried. Once you see that your scattered mind was built by design, not destiny, you stop blaming yourself and start seeing your habits as tools you can keep or throw away. That is the moment the switch becomes possible, the upgrade that makes you dangerous. Silent predictive mode is not peace and love. It is not sitting cross-legged and thinking about nothing. It is a state where the useless noise is turned down so low that your brain can finally do what it is built for, run models of reality, and test them quickly against what is actually happening. It feels less like thinking, more like seeing. In this mode, your internal verbal chatter is minimized. You are not narrating every step. You are not repeating what you already know just to soothe yourself. Instead, you hold a compressed sense of the situation in your mind, and you let your brain compare it to incoming signals. Neuroscience calls this predictive coding. The brain sends down predictions about what should happen, senses what did happen, and updates itself when there is a gap. When you clear away distractions, this loop speeds up. Researchers like Nathaniel Daw and Stephen Koslin have shown that the brain can simulate actions and outcomes without moving the body. When you imagine a movement or a scenario with enough clarity, many of the same brain areas fire as if you were doing it for real. That means you can compress trial and error into thought. You can fail in your head and update your model before you act. Silent predictive mode leans hard on this. You are running quiet simulations instead of talking to yourself about what you might do. There are 3 mechanical parts to this upgrade. The first is noise reduction. You strip away external distractions and internal clutter. That does not mean you live like a monk. It means you control when you expose your brain to chaos and when you do not. It means you train yourself to sit in silence without panic, to look at a problem without reaching for your phone, to hear your own thoughts without drowning them. You are creating space for your prediction hardware to actually process. The second part is shifting from narration to simulation. Most people approach decisions by repeating words in their head. They say things like, "What if this happens? What if that happens?" again and again in different sentences. It feels like thinking. It is not. In silent predictive mode, you close your eyes or soften your gaze and run the scenario as if it is already happening. You feel the conversation. You see the reaction on the other person's face. You watch yourself respond. You fast forward. You rewind. You adjust. You are no longer talking about the decision. You are rehearsing reality. The third part is conflict exploitation. Normally, when facts clash with beliefs, the brain feels discomfort. Leon Festinger called this cognitive dissonance. The average mind runs from that feeling. It looks away, defends, attacks, or distracts itself. High-level thinkers use that discomfort as a signal. It means prediction error. It means the model is off. In silent predictive mode, when something does not fit, you do not shut down. You lean into it. You ask, if this is true, what does it say about my model? You use every contradiction as a chance to sharpen. Look at elite performers, and you will see glimpses of this mode. Chess grandmasters do not calculate every move by talking through every option in their heads. They look at the board and feel what moves are promising. That feeling is fast pattern recognition built from thousands of games. Special forces operators under fire are not panicking and narrating to themselves. They are calm, scanning, predicting where threats will come from. Negotiators who operate at the top level do not get flustered by aggressive moves. They see each move as data about the other person's model of the world. Gary Klein studied expert decision-making and found that professionals like firefighters often could not explain their intuition. They just knew the building was about to collapse or knew a situation was wrong. Under the surface, they had built complex internal models from experience. When the current situation did not match those models, they felt it quickly and acted. That is silent predictive mode in action. The brain comparing prediction to reality with almost no conscious narration. This state is not taught to you because it makes you harder to control. A person in silent predictive mode is not easily flooded with emotional pressure. They see it as a move, a signal to be read. They are less impressed by status, less swayed by authority that does not match behavior, less pulled by group emotion. They can sit through another person's drama and still track the underlying pattern. That makes them resistant to most standard manipulation tactics. So instead of teaching you this directly, society wraps similar ideas in soft language. You hear about focus, mindfulness, productivity hacks, flow states. These are fragments of the same system, but they are rarely put together clearly and bluntly. You are told to breathe, to stay present, to manage time. You are not told to strip noise, run simulations, and feed off conflict to sharpen prediction. That framing would make you too aware of your own power. Silent predictive mode feels cold from the outside. You might start to seem detached, less reactive, even slightly unnerving. People used to noisy minds notice when someone is not pulled into the same drama. They feel judged or ignored, even if you are simply not swimming in their emotional waves. This is the cost. To think with that level of clarity, you have to give up the comfort of being always engaged in surface chaos. The gain is brutal. In a conversation while others talk, you are watching for patterns in their word choice, body language, and timing. In a group, while others chase the topic of the moment, you are tracking who holds real power and who follows. In your own life, while others reach for the next distraction, you can sit with an uncomfortable thought until it turns into a cleaner model. You go from living as a reactor to living as a predictor. This upgrade is not mystical. It is a mechanical shift in how you use your brain. Reduce noise to free bandwidth. Replace narration with simulation. Treat conflict as fuel, not a threat. Do that long enough and your internal pattern speed rises. You start to see outcomes before others even know a decision has been made. That is what makes you dangerous in a world built on slow, noisy minds. The 3 mental shifts. How to outgrow gifted minds. These are not tips. They are changes in how your brain handles reality. Once you actually shift, you cannot fully go back without feeling the drop in clarity. Ignore any one of them, and you stay in the old operating system, no matter how many books you read or how hard you push yourself. The first shift is reducing noise to unlock prediction. Your brain has a hard cap on attention. Nili Lavi's perceptual load theory shows that when a task is demanding, your brain naturally filters out distractions. But when the task is easy and your environment is full of stimuli, irrelevant information slips in and drains your mental energy. The modern environment is built to keep your tasks shallow and your surroundings noisy, which keeps you stuck in low-quality thinking. Every notification, every open tab, every half-heard conversation in the background, every random worry you keep replaying occupies part of your limited working memory. Klingberg's work shows that working memory is tightly linked to performance. When it is clogged, your ability to hold and update patterns drops. You think slower, miss obvious connections, and overreact to small events, not because you are stupid, but because your attentional bottleneck is jammed. Most people fear silence. Ask them to sit in a quiet room with no phone, no music, no talking, and they start reaching for something within minutes. That fear is not random. Silence forces you to notice how weak your thinking has become. It shows you the scattered, repetitive, anxious nature of your internal noise. Rather than face that, people fill every gap with more input and tell themselves they are staying informed. If you can choose silence on purpose and stay there, your brain will start cleaning itself up. At first, the noise gets louder. Old thoughts replay. Random urges appear. You will feel the craving to check something, talk to someone, move. If you stay, that static begins to settle. You start to notice stable patterns instead of random fragments. The mental space that was filled with alerts and chatter becomes available for prediction. Just the ability to sit in cold internal quiet already puts you in a rare class of minds. The second shift is forcing the brain to simulate, not just verbalize. Stephen Koslin's research on mental imagery shows that when you visualize an action or a scene, your brain activates some of the same areas it uses when you actually perform it. That means your nervous system can rehearse without moving, and your mind can learn from situations you have never physically been in. Most people waste that power because they stay stuck in words. Instead of turning decisions into endless inner debates, start turning them into silent movies. If you have a difficult conversation coming, stop repeating what you might say. Close your eyes and run through the exchange. See the other person's face, hear their tone, watch how they might react if you speak calmly versus if you snap. Notice your own body in that scene. Do it again with a different approach. You are training your prediction engine with many possible futures instead of just worrying. Gifted problem solvers do this without describing it. Ask them how they got the answer, and they often shrug or give a story after the fact. In reality, they did not sit there chanting words. They let their brain run models until an answer felt right. They saw the structure of the problem. While others are suffocating in sentences, they are silently adjusting internal maps. If you refuse to shift from language to simulation, you trap yourself in slow, linear thought. You will always feel like you are working harder than them, and you will be right. You are pushing heavy words uphill while they glide on models. The third shift is using conflict of information to accelerate understanding. Leon Festinger showed that humans hate cognitive dissonance. When beliefs and reality clash, most brains twist reality or defend beliefs to avoid discomfort. That avoids pain in the short term and destroys intelligence in the long term. Every unresolved conflict becomes a blocked door. You stay on the same mental level while reality keeps moving. High-level thinkers treat conflict differently. When something offends them, confuses them, or threatens what they think they know, they notice the reaction and then examine it. They ask, what would have to be true for this argument or data to make sense? How would the world look if I were wrong? They push through the sharp part where the ego wants to run. On the other side is a cleaner, more accurate model. Predictive processing is basically Bayesian updating. You have a prior belief. You meet new evidence. Each time there is a clash, you either update the belief or distort the evidence. Most people choose distortion without even knowing they are doing it. They attack the source. They call it stupid. They leave the conversation. They scroll away. Every time they do that, they choose comfort over speed. Their prediction engine stays dull. Here is the dangerous reframe. Every moment you feel confusion, offense, or contradiction, you are at a fork. If you push through the discomfort and resolve the conflict honestly, your pattern speed increases. Your predictions become sharper because they now include information you used to block out. If you retreat, you freeze that part of your intelligence. You stay smooth on the surface and weak underneath. Accept these three shifts and you will start to see how sloppy most thinking really is. You will notice how coworkers jump to conclusions without checking patterns, how friends defend beliefs they clearly do not understand, how public figures speak in emotional slogans with no internal model behind them. At first, this awareness can turn into arrogance. You may feel above others and tempted to show it. That is a trap. Real advantage is quiet. You use your clarity to move better, not to argue with people who cannot even see the game. If you take these shifts seriously, your brain will rewire. You will crave less stimulation and more accuracy. You will get bored by shallow content that used to entertain you. You will feel restless in loud environments that others love. Your tolerance for mental laziness in yourself will drop. Once this happens, there is no real way back. You will know at a gut level that your old way of thinking was like walking through water while telling yourself you were running. The warning. What happens when you think faster than everyone else? There is a cost to this upgrade. When your pattern speed rises and your mind stays quiet under pressure, you will start to notice more than is comfortable. You will see lies in real time. You will notice how often people hide fear behind aggression or insecurity behind arrogance. You will see how often relationships are held together by mutual illusions rather than real understanding. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. If you are not careful, this can push you toward the dark side of intelligence. Research on the dark triad traits shows that people high in Machiavellianism, narcissism, and psychopathy often use cognitive advantages without empathy. They read others well, sense weak points, and then use that information for control instead of connection. If you increase your mental power without anchoring it to any values, it becomes easy to see people as pieces on a board. You might also feel yourself pulling away emotionally. When you see through social tricks, compliments start to sound mechanical. When you know common biases like confirmation bias, framing effects, and social proof, you watch people fall for them and feel more like an observer than a participant. Authority figures who used to impress you will look fragile. You will see the insecurity behind their confidence that can make respect and trust feel weaker. There is also social backlash. Most people do not like feeling exposed. If you start pointing out the patterns behind their excuses or the inconsistencies in their stories, they will feel attacked, even if you are being accurate. They may call you cold, arrogant, or too intense. They will claim you are overthinking or making things complicated. In truth, you are simply seeing more than they can admit. If you throw that in your face, they will protect their comfort by pushing you away, so you need discipline. The real power of a silent predictive mind is not in showing people how much you see. It is in staying quiet and using that information strategically. You do not need to correct every bias you notice. You do not need to expose every false belief. You choose when to act, when to speak, and when to let things slide. You treat your pattern recognition like a hidden weapon, not a loud performance. Used well, the advantage is huge. Research on thin-sliced judgments by Nalini Ambati shows that people can make surprisingly accurate assessments of others in a very short time, as long as they are reading real patterns, not projecting. With a trained predictive mind, those slices get sharper. You can walk into a room and sense who actually leads, who follows, who resents whom, and who is pretending. You can feel when someone's words do not match their tone, posture, or eyes. In decisions, you no longer need to consciously list every pro and con to know what will probably happen. Your brain has done that compression already in the background. You see the likely outcome and feel the risk before others have even finished collecting information. That does not mean you are never wrong. It means you get feedback faster, update faster, and adjust faster. Over time, your life starts to look very different from the lives of people who stay in noisy mode. Fewer disasters, fewer repeated mistakes, fewer relationships built on lies. The main danger is isolation. If you let your clarity turn into superiority, you will detach too far. You will stand outside life judging rather than inside it, acting. Remember that intelligence is not a shield against emotional needs. You still need people. You still need connection. The point of thinking faster is not to dominate everyone. It is to move with more control in a world that is trying to control you. Once you live in this system long enough, the normal world starts to feel slow. Conversations that used to absorb you now feel full of delay and repetition. Media that used to grab you now feels cheap. You will see how people waste years reacting to the same triggers and repeating the same stories. That can either make you bitter or focused. Bitter if you use it to look down on them. Focused if you use it as a reminder of what you escaped. At the core, you face a decision. You can rise into this mode and accept the cost of clarity, or you can go back into the comforting fog. The fog is crowded, noisy, and familiar. It gives you the pleasure of belonging to the same mental speed as everyone else. It also keeps you one step behind the quiet minds that shifted years ago and never told you. If you choose the upgrade, understand what you are choosing. You are choosing to reduce noise even when the world tells you to consume more. You are choosing to simulate reality deeply instead of drowning in words. You are choosing to walk toward conflict of information instead of away from it. You are choosing to see what others hide from themselves. From that point on, when you feel your brain slip back into scattered mode, you will know it is not fate. It is a habit that was taught to you because a loud, reactive mind is easy to steer. And when you catch yourself and switch back into silence, simulation, and conflict, you will feel that familiar shift. The world will slow, people will become readable, and you will remember that your limits were never natural. They were installed. It's your choice now if you want to get to the top alone or take a few of your friends along with you.